just woken you from a deep state of hypnotic sleep that one of my agents put you into. You are likely wondering, where am I? And that is a valid question. You are at the Bureau of the Occult, or BOO, as it is sometimes referred to. The Bureau is over 300 years old, dating back to the colonial times. We exist to manage and maintain the world of the paranormal, and to help the masses remain relatively unaware of its existence. We deal with spirits, extraterrestrials, monsters, and all things supernatural. Among other locations, we have offices at Area 51, Salem, Massachusetts, and the Bermuda Triangle. We also deal with the power of the mind, telepathy, telekinesis, precognition, and so on. You are likely unaware that the Cold War was not cold at all. It was one of the most deadly and dangerous wars we have waged in our history, but fought almost entirely in the mind and on the astral plane. So, needless to say, we wear many hats here at the Bureau, but as much as we do, we are but a small branch of the large and far-reaching tree that is the Order of the Black Door. And while the Bureau only goes back to colonial times, the Order predates the colonies, predates the British Empire, predates the Roman Empire, predates the Egyptians, and even predates the Sumerians. Now, if you are vaguely familiar with history, you likely realize that that means that the Order predates commonly known history. I cannot tell you much about the Order, as secrecy is the very core of its existence. But I can tell you this. There is a world parallel to our own, an equal and opposite world to our own. And that world is full of horror and hideousness. And that world, that horror, is eternally seeping into our own. And it is met here by the Knights of the Order. And you may be familiar with some of their names. Tesla, Lovecraft, Poe, Shelley, Einstein, Socrates, and so on. These are just some of the Knights of the Order. And they fight to maintain the balance between the worlds. But all of that is for another time. So that leads us to you. You are likely wondering why you are here, and that is a valid question. You have been selected to be an agent of the Bureau. Your title will be Special Paranormal and Occult Operations Kingsman, or SPOOK. What this entails we will discuss later. But I must first conduct some examinations to confirm your suitability for the role. So, there will be 4 examinations. One will be a phrenological exam. One will be a palm reading. I'll also do a spectrometric analysis of your aura. And finally, I will do an evaluation of your subconscious while under hypnosis. So we'll start with the phrenological exam. And I won't get into too many of the details about each of these sciences. I'll save that for your classes, which I should point out will be held in Atlantis. Atlantis never was lost. It was hidden intentionally by the order. And you will be taking classes there. And some of your teachers will be Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and so on. And you will also have the Library of Alexandria at your disposal. Much of the books of the Library of Alexandria were thought to have been lost in the fire many hundreds of years ago, but this was a ruse by the order to protect the books and move them to Atlantis. So, let us begin with the phrenological exam, and I'll also point out that many of these sciences have been thought throughout history to be either pseudosciences or superstition. And that is because the order has worked very hard for them to remain thought of that way. If these sciences were understood by the common public, it would be essentially like opening a window to a house of horror, and the knowledge and the experiences that would come with that would likely be very unfortunate. So, that said, phrenology, as a science, has existed for thousands of years. It was only in the last couple hundred years that a former agent of the Bureau revealed this information, this science, to the rest of the world. And so it took a great deal of work to get it debunked as a pseudoscience, so that it could disappear back into relative obscurity, to be handled only by the experts. So, as you can see, this is a bust that basically maps out the various areas of the skull. And what phrenology is, if you're not familiar, is basically the study of the bumps and depressions on a person's skull, and each bump and each depression in a particular area corresponds to a characteristic or a set of characteristics. And so, for the purposes of this exam, we are primarily interested in the areas on the left hemisphere of the brain, of the skull, and primarily in the temporal lobe and the parietal lobe, with a small area of interest in the cerebellum. And some of the areas of interest, sublimity, grandeur, sense of the terrific, which is this portion of the parietal lobe, conscientiousness, justice, integrity, circumspection, that's right here, acquisitiveness, acquiring, are of interest. Back here, cerebellum, we've got defense, courage, combativeness, defiance, which could come in handy in the Bureau as an agent. Other areas of interest, adaptiveness, imitation, mimicry, those are things that could come in handy. So, I will now conduct the examination. So, let me set this down. And check here. I'm going to start with the left hemisphere and with the temporal lobe. And get an idea of the various bumps and depressions on your skull. So you can see here that this is the lifeline, this is the fate line, this is the headline, the sun line, the health line, and the heart line. And then we have what are called mounds. There are various mounds on the hand. Mound of Venus, mound of Mars, mound of Jupiter, mound of Saturn, mound of the Sun, mound of Mercury, and so forth. So, again, I will spare the details until you can get further instruction, but if you would present your hand, please. Take a look at it here. It appears, again, to be quite suitable for what you will be tasked with. There's nothing of considerable concern, and it appears that you will do quite well. This is interesting. And as with phrenology, the art of palm reading or palmistry goes back many thousands of years. It's been widely studied, and its effectiveness has been proven if done by the properly trained individual. So, you can have your hand back. And again, that is encouraging. Just take a few notes here again. Okay. Now we will do the spectrometric analysis of your aura. And so, what I will do is I will shine a particular type of light around you, and I will also wear a set of glasses that can help me view your aura. Every human being, every living creature has an aura. They emit certain frequencies, certain light characteristics that all correspond to particular behaviors and characteristics. And so, again, this is another way of just determining the character of the individual. And other information can be gleaned from it as well. So, I will put these goggles on. These will help me see your aura, as I said. So, you don't have to look at the light. You can look away. You can look at it if you like. But I just want to just do basic evaluation. You have a very colorful aura. It is, I have to say, fairly positive compared to some others I've seen. And I will say that many of the agents and many of the Knights of the Order, when they travel through the door into the dark world, oftentimes their aura brings back with it some of the dark world, and so many of my colleagues, when I examine their aura, it is often quite dulled, almost as if being viewed through a haze. And so it is sometimes refreshing to view an aura that has not been contaminated in this way. And also I will say it is encouraging that yours is starting from such a bright spot, as that means that it will be more resilient against these dark forces. Very good. Just take a few notes regarding the analysis. As I've already said so far, all the examinations have been very encouraging. You appear to be a very strong candidate. Let's see. Okay, so what I will do now is an evaluation of your subconscious, and typically the subconscious mind of your average individual is significantly diminished in its voice, essentially. Our conscious mind essentially rules our actions, and much of our experiences are filtered through that conscious mind and rationalized, or in some cases, with certain experiences, diminished. And what often happens in the case of the supernatural and the paranormal is that our conscious mind rationalizes and essentially explains away what is thought of as supernatural. And so your subconscious, from tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years ago, is accustomed to dealing supernatural occurrences and is more familiar than the conscious mind. So, to open up this subconscious locker, if you will, of experiences, I need to enter you into a state of hypnosis to essentially eliminate the block that the conscious mind puts in place. So, what I will do is I'll put you under hypnosis using a pocket watch induction, and I will ask you a series of questions regarding your experiences with the supernatural and paranormal. And as I've said, your subconscious knows the answer to these questions far better than your conscious. So, just feel free to relax. And what I want you to do is I want you to watch the pocket watch as it goes back and forth. And I want you to just relax. I want you to free your mind and think of nothing at all. You are going to fall into a deep state of hypnosis, and your conscious mind will just drift away into a deep sleep, and your subconscious mind will open up and be free to express its experiences. I'll do a brief countdown, and at the end of the countdown, you'll be in a full state of hypnosis. 5, 4, going deeper and deeper. 3, 2, even deeper, deeper into relaxation. And 1. So now, I'd like to ask your subconscious a few questions regarding your experiences with the supernatural and the paranormal. How many experiences with spirits have you had? And what was the nature of these experiences? Yes. Okay. Good. How many experiences with extraterrestrials have you had? Okay. And what was the nature of these experiences? Okay. That's unusual. And have you been off planet? Okay. Good. Have you been subject to examination by extraterrestrials? Okay. Have you been contacted telepathically? Okay. And what's the nature of these contacts? Yeah. Okay. Have you ever had a premonition or prophetic dreams? And what's the nature of these visions? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's very interesting. Okay. I think that will conclude our examination. I can wake you up now. And as I've said, it's gone very well. You appear to be an ideal candidate for the Bureau, and perhaps one day for the Order itself. So, what I will do now is I will re-enter you into a state of hypnosis. There is some conditioning and some pre-training, essentially, that must be done before you can be fully inducted. And much of that is better done directly into the subconscious. And so I will re-enter you into a state of sleep, and when you awake, you will be in Atlantis. But that is no concern for now. So, again, I want you to watch the watch go back and forth. Watch it as it swings. And with each motion back and forth of the watch, you go deeper into relaxation. And the deeper you go into relaxation, the more tired you feel. The more tired you feel, the deeper you go into relaxation. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1. And when I get to 1, you will be asleep. 10, 9, deeper into relaxation. 8, 7,